Does anybody need a pen or an underliner? Got them in the pink box here on the table. If you need paper to take notes, we got some paper. Does everybody have a book? Are we all in our places with sunshiny faces? Okay. The chapter title is More About What? Why doesn't it say more about hard drinking? Why doesn't it say more about drinking problems, heavy drinking? Anybody remember? Let's go back to page 18 in chapter 2 and read the first sentence on page 18. What does it say there? Of this sort, and we have come to believe it in illness. And if you remember in the doctor's opinion, that's what we saw. It said that the alcoholic must believe, come to an acceptance, that we are abnormal, mentally and physically. Abnormal doesn't mean weird, it just means different. Okay? And we're talking about a disease called alcoholism. We're not talking about heavy drinking. We're not talking about, I've got some emotional problems and I drank too much. We're not talking about, it doesn't say more about dysfunctional families, or the lack of self-esteem, or the lack of self-confidence, or I don't know how to deal with my problems. It doesn't say any of those things. What does it say? More about alcoholism. This is an illness. And we have come to believe it that. So what do you need to ask yourself? Have you come to believe it an illness? Are you convinced? Are you open-minded? When I was new in Alcoholics Anonymous, I hadn't come to believe it an illness. I wasn't sick. I just didn't have enough self-esteem. I just didn't have enough confidence. I just didn't know how to deal with my problems. That was my problem. I wasn't sick. So in order to admit that alcoholism is a disease and I got it, what do I need? An open mind. So we all need to examine ourselves about these things, because we don't have an honesty dipstick anywhere in Alcoholics Anonymous. You walk over and somebody sticks us in and goes, oh yeah, your mind's open. Nobody outside of you can tell you, what you have come to believe, what you know, what the facts are for you. Does that make sense? We all have to do those things for ourselves. That's all part of honestly facing our problems. Okay? So I just want to bring that up because we're going to talk about some pretty heavy-duty stuff here in Chapter 3. And we all need to have an open mind in order to understand what they're telling us. So this isn't substance abuse here, and this isn't chemical dependency. This is more about what? Alcoholism. Okay, now the first thing they're going to tell us is that they were what's called in denial. Everybody heard that? Haven't we all been told at least once somewhere along the line, you're in denial? I really wasn't in denial. I was in ignorance. It's kind of hard to deny something you don't know. Okay? So most of us, it says the first sentence, have been unwilling to admit we were what? So what did they think they were? Problem drinking. Yeah, I got a drinking problem. Not a real alcoholic. And they're saying, most of the 100 people, they all had to learn about alcoholism from whoever was there before them. Even Bill Wilson, he wasn't born with this knowledge. He was a drunk. He found out about alcoholism from Dr. Silkworth, and he found out about the solution from Ebby Thatcher. This was nothing he knew on his own or came up with on his own. He passed it on to Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob was a 55-year-old physician. His specialty was proctology, but he had spent a number of years researching alcoholism and had been unable to get himself sober. He didn't understand his own alcoholism, and he had to learn it from a stockbroker who had been sober for 6 months. Does that sound like kind of an open-minded place where he had to be? Okay, most of it have been, notice the word unwilling there. What's the difference between unwilling and incapable? Someone who is unwilling has the capacity to do it, see, but won't. Stubborn, closed-minded, maybe doesn't really want to stop drinking. And one of the things you're going to see as we go through this chapter is they are going to hit tradition 3 over and over and over and over again. Do we really want to stop drinking? See, are we just here to solve some other kind of problems? See, I don't like the way I feel, that kind of stuff. Okay, so most of us have been unwilling to admit we were real alcoholics. Well, that's me, see, and it might be you. You might examine yourself about that. It says no person likes to think he's what? Bodily and mentally different from his fellows. Okay, now, if you've been to many Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, you've probably heard somebody say something similar to this. You know, I felt different even when I was a child. You ever heard that or said that or thought that? See, most of us have. See, maybe that wasn't a feeling. See, maybe it was a fact. See? Interesting, huh? Therefore, it's not surprising that our drinking careers have been characterized by countless vain attempts. The word vain has 2 meanings. It means proud and it means futile. Futile means something that doesn't work. Okay? So countless vain attempts to do what? Prove we could drink like other people. How can other people drink? Under control, normally. Okay, so look at your own experience. Is that true about you? Countless vain attempts to do that over and over and over again. Drugs and alcohol. Okay. The idea. Where do ideas exist? Where did we learn where the main problem of the alcoholic is? In the mind. So ideas exist in the mind. The main problem of the alcoholic is in the mind. Okay. The idea that somehow, someday, he will, underline the next 3 words, control and enjoy his drinking is the great obsession of every abnormal drinker. Okay. Now, I can look at my own experience. There were times, good examples, when I was married. My wife was an airline stewardess, and she had friends, and where she worked, there were social functions, and every now and then we'd have to go to one, and usually what she would do is a month or 3 weeks before the social function, having to do with where she worked, she would tell me about it, and then she'd start saying, now, I don't want you to drink. Because she knew what happened, see, when I started drinking. And she would keep hitting me about this, see, don't get drunk, don't embarrass me, don't, see, and this would piss me off. See? So, I would go to the place, and I would have a couple of drinks if I drank at all. Sometimes I wouldn't drink at all because I thought, what's the use? This is going to be no fun. Or I would just have a couple. See? And so I had it under control for that evening, briefly, but I didn't enjoy myself. See? Whenever I enjoyed myself, I was out of control. See? There's no way I could put those 2 things, control and enjoy, together. See? There were times I could control it. I was pissed. I was having no fun. See? And when I enjoyed it, see, there was no control whatever. I was just, yay, let's have a party. Okay? See, so you might look at your own experience and see, if you've got a thing about that. See, the idea that somehow, someday he will control and enjoy his drinking is the great obsession of every abnormal drinker. All right, now, those 3 words, the great obsession, see, are pretty important because most of us kind of look at that like a freight train, a big, long, noisy, heavy-duty kind of thing. See, something that shouts and yells and insists that we get drunk. You think of it that way when you see the words great obsession? Start to look and see what the words great obsession bring up for you. I used to, see, when I was drinking and during the phenomenon of craving, see, when my body was craving alcohol, my thinking was pretty much about alcohol, constantly. See? And then when I detoxed, that kind of thinking would go away. See? And when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, I thought because that kind of thinking went away, the great obsession had been removed, and that's false. See? And that's one of the things we're going to learn in the book, is that the great obsession is liable to walk up behind you and go, it's a hot day, have a beer. See? And it might do that once every 6 months. And that's it. See? And that one little thought can kill you. See? So we need to be open-minded to what is this obsession and how does it work. Okay? See? Because what the book shows us, see, is quite often very, very different from the way we have viewed it. Okay? So the idea that somehow, someday he will, underline, you got control underline? Okay, is the great obsession of every abnormal drinker. Okay, the persistence of this illusion is astonishing. If you remember when we went through the doctor's opinion, we went over the definition of the word chronic. And it was something that recurs and persists and is continuous and long-term. Okay? Now, this word we see here, persists, see, something that stays put no matter what you do. See, the persistence of this illusion is astonishing. What is the illusion? See, that control of alcohol, see, is possible. See, many of us think we have it under control because we put the plug in the jug and we go to AA meetings. See, that means I have my drinking under control. See, and the persistence of this illusion is astonishing. See, many, what does the word many mean? A lot. See, not a couple, not every now and then, a lot. Pursue it where? Into the gates of insanity or death. And what does our experience show us, and what do the statistics show us? See, most of us who come to Alcoholics Anonymous end up continuing to pursue this illusion. We go out and get drunk. Okay. Certain end for any real alcoholic, see, is insanity or death. Okay, we learned. Who is the we? Yeah, the first 100 people. See, learn. Now, in order to learn, what do you have to do? You got to have an open mind. You got to be honest with yourself. See, so, if you just think about it, see, these 100 people, see, claim to have recovered from their alcoholism. See, but when they came to Alcoholics Anonymous, they didn't know anything about any of this. All right, so how did they come to the knowledge? They had to learn it. See, in order to learn it, you got to have an open mind and face facts and do all that kind of stuff. See? So each and every one of them, including Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob, had to learn. See? What did they have to learn? That we had to translates into what? Must. See, we learned that we had to fully concede, see, not sort of concede, yeah, maybe I got a problem a little bit, see? Fully concede to our innermost selves that we were alcoholics. It doesn't say we learned we had to go to a meeting, raise our hand, and announce that we are alcoholics. It doesn't say that we learned that we had to talk to our sponsor and say we were an alcoholic, or our wife, or our husband. We had to concede to who? Ourselves. See? That we were real alcoholics. And this is the first step in what? Recovery. Okay? The delusion. Delusion means belief in an illusion. A belief in an illusion. Okay? The illusion is that control is possible. The alcoholic believes the illusion. So the delusion that we are like other people, or presently maybe, and what do we term that? Normal. See, has to be what? Smashed. Okay. Now, this is John sitting right up here. Now, let's say that I ask John to pick up the chair that he's sitting in and smash my official little book study board up here.
All right.
See, what would that look like? Yeah, it would look violent, right? A lot of force. See, a lot of activity like that. And what if I asked John to stand up and hug my official little book study board?
That'll be stupid.
See? Or to walk up and pat the little board on its popo. See? Does that seem different to you? Okay, now what does your book say? What is that last word? Smashed. See? Now a delusion exists where? In the mind. All right? See? And it needs to be what? Smashed, not hugged. See? You ain't going to hug a delusion. Okay? It needs to be smashed. Now, what is the only thing that you know that will smash a delusion? Truth. Facts. That's it. See, so the alcoholic has to have an open mind, find out what the facts are, and face them. Okay? And that will smash a delusion that we're like other people, see, or ever are going to be like other people when it comes to alcohol and drugs. Okay? So remember, see, what they're telling us, persistence of this illusion is astonishing. See, the delusion, see, that's going on in our minds needs to be smashed. Okay? Does that sound kind of heavy duty? Okay, we alcoholics are men and women who have lost the ability to, underline the word control, our drinking. So ask yourself, have you lost the ability to control it? We know that no real alcoholic, what do italics mean? Skip. Yeah, don't pay any attention. Ever recovers control. Ask yourself, do you have a belief that if you just get your stuff together and your life straightens out, then you'll be able to drink safely? Do drugs recreationally? Stuff like that? Ever recovers control. See, why? There's a physical allergy. See, if you don't buy the disease, see, then you're going to think it's a matter of willpower and circumstances. See, you end up drunk, see, and then the disease will get you again. All of us felt at times that we were regaining what? Control. See? Do you trust your feelings? See? A lot of people think they ought to trust their feelings. All of us felt at times, see, that we were regaining control, underlying control again. But such intervals, usually brief, were inevitably followed by still less what? Underline the word control. Which led in time to pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. Anybody in here been there? Pitifully and incomprehensibly demoralized? Okay. Over and over and over again? Anybody in here used your willpower and really stuck it out and stayed sober for a while and then started drinking again and going over and over and over again? See, brief periods of recovery followed always by still worse relapse. Okay, we are convinced. Everybody remember that word? We are convinced to a man. To a man means 100% of us are convinced. See, that alcoholics of our type are in the grip of what? Progressive illness. Are you convinced? See, we're talking about alcoholism. See, not chemical dependence, substance abuse, heavy drinking, and all that other stuff. This is a progressive disease. Okay, Dave. All right, can everybody see that Dave's a bit bigger than I am? Think this guy could kick the shit out of me if he wanted to? More than likely. Okay, okay, now, let's say that Dave is my alcoholism. Okay, and I walk into an AA meeting, and you folks start telling me to let go. That doesn't make much sense, does it? See, I am in the grip of something bigger and more powerful than me. See? And I need a power greater than me to remove this. All right, so just follow me around. So let's say, see, I walk into AA and I go to 90 meetings. Hello, how y'all doing? I need a job. I go over and I talk to Craig. Craig, give me a job. Craig hires me every day. I show up. See? I need a relationship. Virginia, you want to go on a date? See? Everywhere I go, everything I do, this is still with me. See? And I'm not even aware of it. See? I'm operating on a delusion. See? That I let go, I have it under control. See? And until something is done about that, see, I am certain to relapse. See? Next. See? Are you convinced? Are you convinced? They're saying we are convinced to a man that alcoholics of our type are in the grip, see, of a progressive illness. See? What do illnesses do over time? They get worse. Next sentence. Over any considerable period, we get worse, never better. Okay? How many of you have, done one of these iron-fisted sobriety things, started drinking again, and been worse at the end of a period of sobriety than you were when you started? Anybody? Me too. Okay? So what does that tell you about periods of sobriety? The disease progresses. See, even when we're sober. All you got to do is look at your own experience, see if that's true. Okay, now, if you would, go back through those 3 paragraphs and see how many times you got the word control in those 3 paragraphs. Everybody get 5?
I got the word.
It's there 5 times in the first 3 paragraphs. Okay, everybody see it? It's there 5 times. Now, if you would, go back through the same 3 paragraphs and circle the word choice every time it appears. Uh-oh. See, what happened to choice? See, where did choice go? Well, let's see. Go back to page 24. Second paragraph. First sentence in the italics. It says, the fact is. Keep reading. Find out what happened to choice. Page 24. Second paragraph in italics. First sentence. The fact is what? Is it true or is it false? See, now if you don't have a choice, see, what are you doomed to attempt to do? Control it. Have you all heard of the grapevine over in California? It comes down out of the mountains from Los Angeles, headed into the desert where Bakersfield is. It's a very steep grade. It's about 7 to 10 miles long. Very dangerous place. There's been a lot of trucker songs about it. And there's lots of accidents over there. Now let's imagine that you're driving an 18-wheel truck and you're up at the top of the grapevine. You know that you got to make it down there, so you stop. All the trucks stop up at the top and they check the air hoses and the brakes and all the safety features on the truck. You hop back in the cab of the truck, see, and you take off. See, and now you're doing 30, 40 miles an hour and you get about a quarter of a mile down the hill. See, and suddenly you lose the brakes. See, and the truck picks up speed immediately. See, so now, see, you're going too fast to jump out. See, what do you got to do? See, you don't have a choice anymore, do you? See, about the trip you're on? See, so all your efforts are going to be to do what? Keep this thing under control. See, while it picks up speed going downhill. See, and hope like hell, so you don't kill yourself or anybody else. There is no choice, see, at that point. Does that make sense? All right, see, and that's where an alcoholic is. See, riding this thing down the hill without any brakes, and all these efforts, see, are all about just keep this thing under control. Look at your own experience. See, do you really have a choice in whether you're going to drink or not? See, the book is telling us we don't, see, that we are going to drink again. Okay. Last 3 lines down there, bottom paragraph, says, we are like men who have lost their legs, they never grow new ones. Okay, let's say Roger's sitting back there, doesn't like what this book sucks, says, I hate this stuff. So he runs out and comes back in here with a brand new chainsaw. See? He fires this thing up and he goes around the room, see, and he cuts off your legs at the knees, every one of us. See, so there you are, your legs are laying on the ground and you're sitting in the chair. Where can you go? See, without help, you're going absolutely where? Nowhere. See? We are like men who have lost their legs. See? And they ain't going to grow back. See? We never grow new ones. Okay? Neither does there appear to be any kind of treatment which will make alcoholics of our kind like other men. How many people in here have been in any kind of treatment? Did you come out normal? Fact. See? See? There isn't any kind of treatment. Now, this was written 50 years ago, but it's still true today. There is no kind of treatment that's going to make an alcoholic normal. Okay, we have tried every imaginable remedy. In some instances, there has been brief recovery. How many folks in here besides me have had some brief recoveries? Okay, followed always by a still worse relapse. Okay. Physicians who are familiar with alcoholism, think we're full of shit? No. Physicians who are familiar with alcoholism agree. There is no such thing as making a normal drinker out of an alcoholic. What does a normal drinker have that an alcoholic doesn't have? Control, a choice. And there's not, one of the famous examples in AA over the years has been, if you go into a garden and you pick a cucumber and you put it in pickling solution, whatever that is, brine, whatever it is, and you let it sit there for 3 weeks, and then you pull it out, what do you got? You got a pickle. All right? And there's no way you're going to change that pickle into a cucumber, is there? It's a pickle, it's pickled, and it's going to stay pickled. See? Now you can put this pickle on an airplane and send it to the Mayo Clinic. See? But they can't change it into a cucumber. And you could mail this pickle to the Pope. See? Ask him to pray over it. See? And when you get it back, what's it going to be? A pickle. There's nowhere in the world, that this pickle is going to change back into a cucumber. See, it cannot be done. And it's the same with an alcoholic. See, if you are a real alcoholic, there is no way, that you're going to become normal. Okay, now, is that tough to swallow? See? For some of us, that is pretty tough to swallow. See, because we really think that self-esteem and self-confidence and psychology and dealing with our feelings, all that's going to make us normal and then we'll be okay. See, I used to think the same thing. See, so if you're sitting here, you might have to, bite the bullet on this one. See, there's no such thing as making a normal drinker out of an alcoholic. Okay, science may one day accomplish this, but it hasn't done so yet. See, now that sentence was written when? 1939. Okay, has science done so in the ensuing 50 or 60 years? How do we know that? Here we are. See, if it was scientifically possible and available, don't you think we'd all have gone and had science do it for us? We wouldn't be here doing this. See, I sure would. See, so it's pretty obvious to me science hasn't done it. See, if anybody would know that science had done it, I would know that. Because I'm an alcoholic. Okay, despite all we can say, and they have said a lot, haven't they? See, they've certainly said a lot. See, we still got people sitting here who are going, I'm not sure, I don't know. See? Many who are, what? Real alcoholics are not going to believe they are in that class. I'm not as bad as that. I haven't gone as far as you guys. This isn't true of me. It's interesting information, and if I ever get worse or if I ever relapse, then it'll be true, maybe. See, all that kind of thinking. So despite all we can say, many who are real alcoholics are not going to believe they're in that class. Those slime balls, I'm not like them. Okay. By every form of what kind of deception? Self-deception. See, let's name some self-things. Self-confidence, self-esteem, self-discipline, assertiveness, self-knowledge. See? Could those things be termed self-deception? They could be, couldn't they? By every form of self-deception and experimentation. They will try to prove themselves exceptions to the rule, and therefore what? Non-alcoholic. Have you put any effort in your life into being a non-alcoholic? See, I tried real hard for quite a while, to be a non-alcoholic, and to prove that. And only an alcoholic would go through the gyrations we all go through to prove ourselves non-alcoholic. See, a normal person, if you walked up to him and said, you're exhibiting symptoms of a fatal disease, here they are, they're very simple to look at, and there's a cure for that, what would a normal person do? They'd take a look, wouldn't they? They'd go, geez, I wasn't aware of that. Holy cow, I better do something. What does an alcoholic do? Not me. Not me. Okay, if anyone who is showing inability to control his drinking, anybody in here showing that inability? exhibiting any symptoms whatsoever of lack of control in your life. Okay. Inability to control his drinking can do the right about face and drink like a gentleman or a lady. Our hats are off to it. See, way to go. See, we're not here to burn witches. This isn't a witch hunt. See, nice going. Heaven knows we have tried hard enough and long enough, see, to drink like other people. So look back on your own experience. How long have you been trying to drink like other people? How hard have you worked, see, to not have a problem? See, how much effort in your life, how much pain and misery, how much depression has gone on, see, trying to be not an alcoholic. Okay, here are some of the methods we have tried. Method means how. See, this is how I used to think it was going to work. See, this was my version of chapter 5 while I was drinking. Here's some of the methods we've tried. So as we go through these, see if any of these are true of you, if you've tried any of them. Drinking beer only. Limiting the number of drinks, see, or lines if you did drugs. Never drinking alone. Never drinking in the morning. That's a real alcoholic, right? Anybody who gets up and takes a drink in the morning. Drinking only at home. Never having it in the house. See the switch, one extreme to another? See, only do it in the house, never do it in the house. See, you ever done stuff like that, one extreme to the other? Okay, never drinking during business hours. Drinking only at parties. Switching from scotch to brandy. Drinking only natural wines. How about smoking only natural pot? Anybody tried that? Okay. Agreeing to resign if ever drunk on the job. Taking a trip. I'm leaving, you bitch. Not taking a trip. You're leaving, you bitch. Swearing off forever with and without a solemn oath. Anybody ever, put your hand on a Bible or something like that and sworn to God, prayed, done all that kind of stuff? Taking more physical exercise. Yeah, let's join a health club. Let's lose 10 pounds. Let's get our stuff together. Let's get healthy, take vitamins, eat right. See, we'll just go on the wagon for a few weeks and then it'll be okay. Reading inspirational books. What are inspirational books? The Bible, John Bradshaw, Eastern philosophy. See, anybody get into self-help books in here besides me? See, you ever notice how self-help books do this really amazing thing? So you buy one, see, and it's, hey, this is great. About 2 weeks later, you need another one. See? So you buy another one, see, and you put these on the shelf, and then you turn around, see, and about 8 minutes later, you look back, and now there are 20 of them there. See, and then a few days later, there's 40 of them there. See, it's like drinking. Right? It's more self-help books, inspirational things. Oh yeah, this will solve my problem. Okay, going to health farms and sanitariums. All right, what do we call health farms and sanitariums these days? Charter hospital, care unit, Betty Ford Center. Okay. The word sanitarium means an institution devoted to the treatment of the chronically diseased. See, that's what those places are. Okay. So, see, we don't like those words anymore. See, so we have changed them. See, now they are, Dr. Feelgood's, wonderful recovery place. See, how many times have you ever been in a meeting and had somebody raise their hand and say, I just got out of a sanitarium? See? Never hear that anymore. I just got out of an asylum. See, you don't ever hear that, do you? See, but that's what we got. See, we just changed the name. See, and out there in treatment land, people don't want to be alcoholics, so what do we come up with words like substance abuser and chemically dependent? See, I'm dysfunctional. See, they all sound so much better than I'm an alcoholic. See, don't they? It's real interesting. Okay.
When I was young, was asylums and health farms and what have you were largely occupied by people who had tuberculosis and some of those diseases that were then.
Yeah.
But my sense is that even then they were mostly alcoholics.
Full of alcoholics, you bet. You bet. See, it's a real interesting thing. It's just has always cracked me up the names of that treatment centers give themselves. You ever heard names like New Hope and New Dawn and Hope House, see, and, Caring and Sharing, and, Pine Woods and stuff like that. Why don't we call them Doom City? See? Why don't we call them End of the Road Jack? Wouldn't that be more honest? See? And might it not give people who end up there, a little bit more awareness of the problem that they got? See, we're all like smoothing things over. See, let's call it something else so it doesn't sound so bad. See? Let's not admit we're really an alcoholic. See? Let's not admit we're powerless. Self-deception, experimentation. Okay, and it says we could increase the list ad infinitum. See, ad infinitum means to infinity, or on and on and on and on. See, so you think that if you took a piece of paper and wrote down everything you've ever tried to do, say, to solve your problem, so you could probably come up with a little longer list than what we just read? I think most of us could. I sat down and did that one day, came up with a couple of pages. I mean, some of it was pretty bizarre stuff. Dress for success, power in colors. Anybody ever? Okay. I mean, some pretty weird stuff, crystals and chakra alignments and just on and on and on. Anything, so I'm not a real alcoholic. New Age fairs. Whoa. Okay, bottom of page 31. We do not like to pronounce any individual as an alcoholic. See, why do they say that? See, let's go back to page 23 and just look over once again what they told us over there in the middle of the page. In the middle of the page, see the paragraph says, once in a while he may tell the truth. And go up one sentence where it says, if you draw this fallacious reasoning, fallacious meant faulty, draw this fallacious reasoning to the attention of an alcoholic, he's going to do one of two things. So you remember what they are? Either laugh it off, yeah, right, no big deal, or they get pissed about it, become irritated and refuse to talk. See? So we all looked at our own experience of that when people brought up to us the fact that we may have a problem with drugs or alcohol, see, and we either laugh it off, see, or we get pissed at them. All right, see, so we can see in our own experience that nobody can diagnose us as an alcoholic. See? Has anybody in here had a doctor tell you that you were an alcoholic? Anybody at all? A physician, medically trained guy, and then gone out and drank again? See, isn't that amazing? See, nobody can tell an alcoholic that he or she is an alcoholic, see, so that it will stick. See, so they're telling us, see, over here on page 31, that we do not like to pronounce any individual as alcoholic. Why? Because it doesn't work. See, anybody in here who has done, much working with others, I'm sure has had this happen to them many times, where a newcomer will say, do you think I'm an alcoholic? See, newcomers are always asking that question. I was saying, it doesn't make any difference whether I think so or not. I can't diagnose you. I'm an alcoholic. I can tell you what it is, see, but you got to make the diagnosis yourself. See, you either admit it or you don't admit it. See, the only way you can admit it is do what I did, which is learn what it is exactly, see, and then face it yourself. Okay? So, we do not like to, back on page 31 at the bottom, we do not like to pronounce any individual as alcoholic, but you can, please underline the next three words, quickly diagnose yourself. Okay? Three very important words. What does the word quick mean to you?
Right away?
Yeah, right away. Something that doesn't take very long. See, can be done quickly. All right, now, see, have you ever heard somebody stand up in an AA meeting? Hi, my name's Cousin Red. I'm an alcoholic. I've been around here a couple of years. I'm still working on the first step. Quickly diagnose yourself. The word diagnose, if you would put the, I'm going to give you the definition, put it in the margin of your book right down there on page 31. See, diagnose has a very specific meaning. It means to recognize disease. See, to recognize disease by its characteristic symptoms. Diagnose means to recognize disease by its characteristic symptoms. Everybody got it? Okay. See, now let's see if that's true. See, have you ever gone to a doctor's office, you're feeling bad? See, and what's the first thing the doctor, he or she, asks you when you go in? What's wrong? See, now, he's not doing that, because he's going to give you a hug. So he needs to know exactly what the symptoms are so he can make a diagnosis and give you the proper treatment. See? If he doesn't know what the symptoms are and can't make a diagnosis, see, then he doesn't know how to treat you. See? Does that make sense to you? See, so treatment or recovery cannot begin until a diagnosis is made. Has to be made. All right? But nobody can diagnose you. Nobody can diagnose me. So who's got to make the diagnosis? What's the last word in that sentence? See? Are you willing to take that responsibility? See? And if you're not, see, you got to be honest with yourself about it. If you're not willing to take the responsibility for doing that, who's going to do it for you? You're screwed. Does that make sense? See? An illness of this sort, and we've come to believe in an illness. You buy that? Okay, now notice what they say at this point. See, they have said at the beginning of the page, or up towards the top of the page, despite all we can say, many who are real alcoholics are not going to believe it. See, so they've given us a lot of information on which we can base our own diagnosis. We're still not convinced. Okay, so now they have a suggestion. See, after the word yourself, see, so watch their suggestion. Go to 90 meetings in 90 days, get phone numbers, and learn how to love yourself. Is that what your book says there? What does your book say there? Go drink. See? Go drink. See? If you don't have an open mind, see, and you're still not convinced, go drink. Step over to the nearest bar room, or crack house, or shooting gallery, see, or drug dealer, see, and try some controlled drinking in you. See? Go do it. See? Try to drink and stop abruptly. See? Control the hell out of this. See? Try it more than once. See? It will not take long for you to decide, but what's the requirement? If you're honest with yourself about it. See? I've had people go out and do that, come back 2 years later, see, beat to hell and say, I'm still not sure. Hey, really. I've seen that happen a lot. See, so, the point is, see, only somebody who really wants to stop drinking is going to be capable of being honest with themselves about that. Yeah, John.
What's the definition of controlled drink?
For an alcoholic, it's an illusion. You can, yeah. Well, they say drink, stop abruptly. See, just have two and stay that way. The idea of that sounds crazy to me when I look at it honestly. See, does one beer make sense to anybody in this room? I would imagine that most of us, given the choice of one beer or no beer, would go no beer. See, because I feel worse after one beer. See, I'd have to have more beer. See? So I'd just soon not start. See, as to only have one or two. See, to me, it's just nothing. Why, why bother? See, just soon drink water. Okay, so you got to look at your own experience. See, it says it will not take long for you to decide if you're what? Honest. I'm sure everybody in here has heard the beginning of chapter 5 read 400 or 500 times in meetings. The first paragraph of chapter 5. See, talks only about honesty with ourselves. See, that's what's required here. See, it starts with how honestly do I really want to stop drinking? Okay, then it says it may be worth a bad case of jitters if you get a full knowledge of your condition. Could save your life. Okay, though there's no way of proving it, we believe that early in our drinking career, so underline the word drinking career. The word career, see, means a lifelong pursuit. See? So look at your own experience. Has drinking and drugs, pretty much been chronic or a lifelong pursuit in your life? See, do you have a drinking career? See? And if so, see, then instead of having to go out and get drunk, See, the other way to find out you're an alcoholic is to look back on your drinking career at what actually happened and compare that with the facts that you find in the book. See? And then you don't have to go get drunk in order to find out whether you're an alcoholic. See? And that's kind of nice to know, isn't it? See? You don't have to get drunk in order to find out, see, if you have an open mind. See? My sponsor told me early on that there are two ways, see, to find out the grim truth about alcoholism. See, one is to read the book, see, with an open mind and to do what it says, and the other way is don't do that. See? And in either case, you get to find out the grim truth about alcoholism. Okay, so though there's no way of proving it, we believe that early in our drinking careers, most of us could have stopped drinking. So look back when you were 20 or 18 or 16 or whatever, see if that's true. But the difficulty is that few alcoholics have enough tradition 3 desire to stop while there is yet time. Remember, they told us that the tragic situation having to do with powerlessness and loss of control has already arrived in practically every case long before it is suspected. I mean, we're all sitting here going, if I ever drink again, then I'll be powerless. I mean, the book's saying you were powerless long before you came here. Okay, we have heard of a few instances where people who show definite signs of alcoholism were able to stop for a long period because of a what? Overpowering desire to do so. Okay, now keep your finger there on overpowering desire and go back to page 24 and read the first sentence, starting right up at the top of the page. Find what they say about powerful desire.
No avail. No.
Absolutely no avail. Anybody got any experience of having very powerful desire, white knuckling the hell out of this and ending up drunk? Okay. What tradition deals with powerful desires to stop drinking? 3. Okay, so tradition 3 is a requirement for membership in alcoholism or Alcoholics Anonymous, see, but it is woefully insufficient for recovery from alcoholism. Okay, and they're going to give us a good example here. So if you're new and you're somebody who wonders, if you have seen a lack of old-timers in Alcoholics Anonymous, you might have noticed that there aren't a whole lot of people with a whole lot of sobriety. Or you may have been in a situation where you've seen somebody with a number of years sobriety go drink. See, this example they're going to give you might make some sense to you and begin to explain why that happens. Okay. Here is one, a man of 30. Anybody in here 30 or so? Not too old? Yeah, okay. Man of 30 was doing a great deal of what kind of drinking? Is that a definite sign of alcoholism based on what we learned in the doctor's opinion? Definite sign. He was very nervous in the morning. What did the doctor's opinion call nervous? Restless, irritable, discontent. Okay? What does a restless, irritable, and discontent alcoholic do when he's restless, irritable, and discontent? He looks for ease and comfort, see, in alcohol. See? So this guy was very nervous in the morning after these bouts, see, and quieted himself with more liquor. The ease and comfort that comes at once from drinking. Okay. He was ambitious to succeed in business. Anybody ambitious in here? Nobody? Okay. But saw that he would get nowhere if he drank at all. Once he started, he had what? No control whatever. See, what's that a sign of? Phenomenon craving. The allergic reaction going on in this guy. See, every time he started, he blew it. He made up his what? See, where's his main problem? See, but he doesn't know it. See, this guy doesn't know. So he makes up his mind. He makes a decision. See, that until he had been successful in business and had retired, he would not touch another drop. Now, very carefully read what his decision is and ask yourself, does this man really want to stop drinking? Yeah. See, he doesn't want to stop drinking, does he? See? So he has made up his mind, see, until his circumstances are better, see, until he gets his shit together, until he sells the business, see, until he's got money in the bank and a lot of leisure time, then See, he's going to drink safer. See, so he's fooling himself. See, and a lot of us are fooling ourselves. We think we have a desire to stop drinking, and we make these kind of decisions. So he made up his mind that until he had been successful in business and had retired, he would not touch another drop. An exceptional man, he remained bone dry for how long? 25 years. See, that's a quarter of a century, 2.5 decades. Bone dry for 25 years, and retired at the age of 55 after a successful and happy business career. And then he fell victim to a belief. Where do beliefs exist? In the mind, which practically every alcoholic has. See, now if you see that clause or a phrase like that in the book, it says practically every alcoholic has this belief. Are you an alcoholic? See? So do you need to ask yourself honestly whether this is something that you either now or have believed? See, if they say practically every alcoholic has it, you need to look at your own thinking and beliefs about this. He fell victim to a belief which practically every alcoholic has, that his long period of sobriety and what kind of discipline had qualified him to do what? So here's the obsession. See, it was in his decision, and it appears, see, 25 years later, I can drink safely, normally. Out came his carpet slippers and what? A bottle. In 2 months, how many days are in 2 months? See? So in 60 days, he's in a detox. See? He was in a hospital, puzzled and humiliated. See? He tried to regulate his drinking for a while. What does regulate mean? Control. See? He still doesn't want to stop drinking. See? He still thinks he can control it. He tried to regulate his drinking for a while, making several trips to the hospital meantime. Is this guy having a fun retirement? Nope. Okay, then gathering all his forces. Now what are his forces? Willpower, see, decision-making, grit, white knuckles, education, self-knowledge, everything he's got. Gathering all his forces, he attempted to do what? See, at that point he meets tradition 3. See, now he has a desire to stop drinking. Look what it took to get his attention. All right, see, and it's only when somebody really wants to stop that they can find out and admit that they can't. See, and here he is. See, now he really wants to stop, and what does he find? He can't do it. See, and this blew my mind when it happened to me a few years ago. I always thought, see, that when I really wanted to stop, see, I could do that. See, and then I hit the point where I really wanted to stop, and that's when I found no way. And I was baffled. This blew my mind. Okay? Every means of solving his problem which money could buy was at his disposal. Well, see, what can money buy? See, when it comes to alcoholism, what can it? Huh? Yeah, it can buy you more alcohol. That's right. It can buy a charter hospital.
Human.
It can buy
Humans. Resources.
human resources. See, money buys human resources. See, is everybody in here pretty clear that money can't buy God? See, but what can money buy? All kinds of human stuff: hospitals, treatment, psychiatry, psychology. See, John Bradshaw tapes. See, New Age stuff. See, money can buy a lot of stuff. See? Every means of solving his problem which money could buy was at his disposal. What happened? Every attempt failed. Though a robust man at retirement, the word robust means healthy. Though a robust man at retirement, how old was he then? 55. See, he went to pieces quickly and was dead within 4 years. How old was he then? 59. If you keep your eyes open, see, in Alcoholics Anonymous, you'll hear of this kind of stuff happening. You'll see people who've been in AA quite a while go do this. See? The obsession gets them sooner or later. Now, this case contains a powerful lesson. See? Most of us have believed that if we remain sober for a long stretch, we could thereafter do what? Have you believed that? Have you thought that to be true? But here is a man who at 55 years found he was just where he had left off at 30. Okay, now we need to just take a quick look at this so everybody's clear on what they're telling us here. We all have this idea, I can't say we all do, but many of us do, say that if we're not drinking, we're okay. And that's just not the truth. Remember they told us at the beginning of the chapter that we are convinced to a man that alcoholics of our type are in the grip of a progressive illness, and over any considerable period we get worse. Okay, now here's this guy, whatever his name is, he's 30 years old, and he's having some problems with his drinking. He's doing some spree drinking, and he's a little jittery in the morning and all that kind of stuff. Now, if he had continued, let's say he stops here, if he had continued to drink for 60 days at age 30, do you think he'd have been in the hospital at the end of 2 months? Based on where he was when he stopped drinking. Chances are real slim. See, this guy probably would have had to drink a few more years before he ever saw his first charter hospital treatment center. So even though he was exhibiting some definite signs of alcoholism. Okay? So, but he stops. He doesn't drink. See? So he stops for how long? 25 years. See? No alcohol whatsoever. See? Absolutely sober. See? Now, he's 55 years old. And he starts drinking. What happened to him in 60 days?
In the hospital.
Blam. Okay? Now, if he'd have drank 60 days up here, chances are he wouldn't have been in hospital. See? But he drank 60 days down here, and what happened? See? And then it happened again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and then he went splat. See? Killed him. What does that show you happened during this period right here? He's got a progressive disease. It's either true or it's false. No alcoholic will ever be able to drink alcohol safely and under control, ever. Okay, back on page 31. So most of us have believed. You got to ask yourself, have you believed? See, that if we remain sober for a long stretch, we could thereafter drink normally. But here's a man who at 55 years found he was just where he had left off at 30. We have seen the truth talked about, demonstrated. See, again and again. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. See, once a pickle, always a pickle. It's either true or it's false. Are you an alcoholic? You either are or you aren't. Okay, commencing to drink after a period of sobriety, we are, you might underline the next 4 words, in a short time, as bad as ever. See, I look back on my drinking career and I can see that one demonstrated. I once white-knuckled it for 9 months back in 1979 or 1980, and it was like this Herculean effort on my part. It was all I could do to stay sober for 9 months. I couldn't work, I couldn't do anything. I was just staying sober. And every time I ran into some of my old drinking buddies, they'd say, "Hey, how are you doing with the not drinking?" "Hey, great, no problem." This thing was happening. Towards the end of this 9 months, I went out to the desert, and I was staying at my dad's place out at the desert. He had this little cabin out on 5 acres there. It was about 107,000 degrees. And I'd been out there a few days, and one Saturday afternoon, I was standing in the doorway of this little cabin, looking out over the desert, and there's these heat, that heat wave stuff that distorts everything. See, and it's just hot. And a thought entered my mind. Man, it's hot. One beer would be great. See? And I saw the thought, nah, I've been sober 9 months, I don't want to do that. Yeah, cool, and I walked around a little bit, and then I went back to the door, and I'm looking out over the desert, and the thought came back. I considered it a little more. Well, just one? Nah, been sober 9 months. See? And this went on for, half an hour, sort of like that. And finally I went, yeah, well, I'll just have one. There's a store right down the road here, 3 miles, of one of those AM, PM jobs. I'll just go down and get one beer, because it's hot. It is hot. So I hop in the van, and I drive out to the main road, and I'm driving 3 miles down to this little market, and by the time I get down to the market, I have decided that what would really work is if I get a six-pack, see, I'll only drink one today, see, and then I'll put the other 5 in the refrigerator, see, and if it's this hot tomorrow, I'll have one. If it isn't, I'll throw them away. So I walk into the store, see, boom, right back to the cooler, see, and instead of buying 12 ounces, I bought a 6-pack of 16 ounces Budweiser or something like that. I get them up to the cash register and I pay for it, walk out the door. See, by the time I hit my van, I was on the second beer. Okay? And I hop in the van, I drove 3 miles back to the cabin. When I got back to the cabin, I had 1 beer left. Okay? The next thing I remember, it was Sunday morning. See? And I was in bed, and there was this lump in the bed. See? And I remember I was just, all this shit going on. See? And I looked at that and I said, God, I hope that's a woman. Okay? I didn't know where I was. See? And this hand pulls back the cover, see, and here's this lady, whatever, see, and she's looking at me and I'm looking at her and we're both going, and I'm pulling my pants on and, and I'm out of there. It was 9 o'clock Sunday morning. See, I just went into a blackout. See, 5 beers, which I drank in a period of about 5 minutes. After 9 months sober. See, just incredible. Baffled. See, and I didn't sober up till about 2.5 years later, and I didn't have 24 hours continuous sobriety in the ensuing 2.5 years. See, it had gotten way worse, see, in the 9 months I was sober. See, so that's just one of the examples out of my own experience, see, that tells me that this is true. See, and it's one of the things, see, that I could look back on when I was new in AA, compare my own experience to what they're saying here, see, and I can see that it's true, see, about me. Okay? As soon as I start drinking, something happens, okay? And I lose it, I blow it. Okay. So once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. Commencing to drink after a period of sobriety, we are in a short time. Now, see, my disease, I was 37 years old at the time. My disease had progressed to the point where a short time was 5 minutes. Right? Now, see, your disease may not have progressed that far, see, or it may have progressed further than that. See, but you just look at your own experience. What is a short time? See, a short time might be a month, might be a week. See, might be a day, might be an hour, might be 5 minutes, see, but what's a short time? See, you see the truth in that for you. See, so we are in a short time as bad as ever, see, and in my particular case, worse. Okay, so if we are planning to stop drinking, see, so what does that mean? Tradition 3. All right, so you're beginning to notice that Tradition 3 keeps getting hammered on here in Chapter 3. Do you really want to stop drinking? If we are planning to stop drinking, there must be no reservation of any kind, nor any lurking notion that someday we will be immune to alcohol. The immunity to alcohol will not happen if you have the disease of alcoholism. See? So you got to ask yourself, what does that mean? If I don't find some way to be sober permanently, then I will drink again, and what will happen when I do? Will I be immune then? Will I drink safely and happily then? See? Or will I go splat then? All right? Where do reservations and lurking notions lurk? In the mind. Where's the main problem of the alcoholic? Okay? So you can't stress this enough. See, a lot of us, this is just my experience, so you come to Alcoholics Anonymous, and deep down, see, we really don't want to stop drinking. See, we're here because of the courts and our financial circumstances. See, we're here because of a lot of other reasons, but deep down, we really do not want to stop drinking. See, and someone who doesn't meet Tradition 3, see, will never be open-minded to this. See, is always going to be doing something other than the steps. See, so we need to be brutally honest with ourselves about, do I really want to stop drinking and stay stopped? See, forever. See, and the only person that can answer that for you is who? Yourself. See, you're the only one. See, because if you don't, I can guarantee you, you won't. See, I know that one out of my own experience. An alcoholic who doesn't really want to stop drinking ain't gonna. They will go do it again. This obsession is strong. Okay, young people. How many young people we got in here? Anybody under 70? Young people may be encouraged by this man's experience to think, where will they think this? That they can stop as he did, see, on their own willpower. Now, we doubt if many of them can do it. A, because none will really want to. See, they won't meet tradition 3. They don't really want to stop. See, and B, hardly one of them, because of the peculiar mental twist already acquired, will find he can win out. What is that peculiar mental twist? The obsession. The inability to tell the true from the false. See? And this is one of those weird things. See, a lot of us think of this in terms of, well, I drank a lot and then I became obsessed. See, somewhere down the road. See, but in many of us, see, the obsession exists long before we are physically screwed up as a result of the allergy. Okay? We got it just backwards. We tend to think of the obsession as something that happens as a result of years of heavy drinking. See, I drank a lot and then I became obsessed with alcohol somewhere as a result of doing that. See, and most often what's happened is the obsession exists way before the physical stuff and bad circumstances of alcoholism ever arrive or make themselves known. See, and that's what they keep telling us. Look back on your drinking career and see that no choice, see, started probably back when you were a kid. See, no choice isn't something that's going to happen if I'm ever confronted with drinking again. See, it's something that was going on when I was a teenager. The obsession was already there. Yeah, Tom.
The worst impacts of the obsession will not occur until you're sober. Because as long as you're drinking or going through your periodic rate, the obsession never has to come into play. To get you drunk, the obsession does not have to do anything until it has to beat the hell out of a sober person.
True.
And then it just takes over. The strange twist of mind is the twist which takes the plug out of the brain, disconnects the electrical supply.
So it's something you can start to look back on your drinking career. See? Anybody in here is looking back, 15, 20 years and noticing that you were getting some bad results back then from drugs and alcohol, and notice that there was no desire to quit drinking, see, even though there were bad results happening? See? Isn't that some evidence that there was something peculiar going on way back then? Okay, let's see. Several of our crowd, men of 30 or less. We got any 30 or less people in here? Everybody 30 or less, right here. Okay. Yeah, great. Several of our crowd, men of 30 or less, had been drinking only a few years, but they found themselves as helpless as those who had been drinking 20 years. And this is something that we need to make abundantly clear, especially to the younger folks that come to AA, because so many of us have these stereotypical pictures of what a real alcoholic is. See, it's this guy who drank 2/5 a day, see, and lost 3 wives and 6 businesses, see, or is a bag guy, a bridge drinker or a bag lady or something. We carry around those pictures, see, and a young guy or woman walks into Alcoholics Anonymous and hears those kind of stories, and they immediately conclude, well, that never happened to me. See, but the only things that make an alcoholic are the allergy in the body and the obsession that already exists in the mind. That can be true of a 12-year-old kid. See, and it's got nothing to do with drinking 20 years. See, it's got nothing to do with drinking 2/5 a day. See, it's got nothing to do with divorces and business losses and tax problems and wild sprees across the country and all that sort of stuff. See, those things are common, but they aren't necessarily part of what makes a real alcoholic a real alcoholic. Okay, now this gets pretty specific right here in the next 2 sentences. Okay, to be gravely effective. Everybody know what the word grave means? Serious, perhaps fatal. To be gravely affected, 1. Now, where it says 1, write your name. Or the word I. To be Gravely affected. One does not necessarily have to drink a long time. So you don't need a big, long drunkalogue with a lot of, laughs and yaks and tragedy and all that in it. See, does not necessarily have to drink a long time, nor take the quantity some of us have. See, so it's got nothing to do with how much alcohol you actually drank or how much drugs you actually did. See, that isn't what makes an alcoholic an alcoholic. See, so it ain't about time and it ain't about quantity. It's about allergy and obsession. Okay, now how many women do we have in here? All women, raise your hand. Keep them up. Okay, now everybody with your hand up, read the next two sentences with me. Keep your hand up while we read the sentence. This is particularly true of women. Keep your hand up, keep reading. Potential female alcoholics often turn into the real thing and are gone beyond recall in a few years. Right? Now what does the word often mean? See, frequently, a lot. Potential female alcoholics often turn into the real thing and are gone beyond recall. Beyond recall means irreversible brain and body damage as a result of drinking alcohol and doing drugs. See? Now this was pretty new information when the book was written. It has been researched quite a bit in the last 10 years. See, and what the researchers are finding out is that the average female alcoholic's drinking career is generally between 1/3 and 1/2 as long as the average male drinking career. See? And it is being discovered that alcohol eats the female alcoholic's body at a much more rapid rate than it does men. And they don't really know why. See? But mentally and physically, internal organs, brain, the whole shot. See? Liver especially. So if you're not familiar with that, see, call the National Council of Alcoholism or your doctor or something, so you do a little research in it if you're not clear. See, because it's being proven more and more. They're doing more and more research on this. Okay? Now, see, the folks in Alcoholics Anonymous knew that back in those days, see, but it is being borne out as the truth as time goes on. More research is being done as it is. See, so take this seriously. Potential female alcoholics often turn into the real thing and are gone beyond recall. See, absolutely. See, even the steps won't help you in a few years. Okay, certain drinkers who would be greatly insulted if called alcoholics. Anybody in here besides me been insulted when called an alcoholic? Yeah, right. Okay. Are astonished at their inability to stop. See, and notice how they keep saying that? Because, see, as I started out, I said, no way I'll ever be an alcoholic. My old man's an alcoholic. See, and then I had a drinking problem. Then, yeah, maybe I'm an alcoholic, but I don't want to quit. See, and then, yeah, I'm pretty clear I'm an alcoholic, but I'm sure I don't want to quit. But when I do want to quit, I will quit. That's what I used to tell myself and other people. See, and then came the day when I really wanted to quit and couldn't. See, I was absolutely astonished at my inability to do that. What's wrong with me? See, I always thought all of that drinking was by choice. No way. So we who are familiar with the symptoms, see, well, how did they get familiar with the symptoms? They learned it, just like we're all learning it. See, are you getting pretty familiar with the symptoms now? See, what a real alcoholic is. See, we who are familiar with the symptoms see large numbers of potential alcoholics among young people everywhere. See, and everybody I know in AA who understands the book and is recovered sees this. I mean, all you got to do is go to the local shopping mall, any place. I mean, so you see it everywhere. See, but try and get them to see it. See, they're just as closed-minded as I was when I was that age. And it makes perfect sense to me. They don't want to know. Fuck you. You're an old fart. What do you know? Okay, as we look back at what? Our drinking careers, see, on our own experience. See, so as we look back, we feel we've gone on drinking many years beyond the point where we could quit on our own willpower. See, that takes some honesty. See, so what do you need to do? Look back on your drinking career and see if that's true. Many years. Okay, if anyone questions whether he's entered this dangerous area, let him try leaving liquor alone for 1 year. If he's a real alcoholic, very far advanced, there's scant chance of success. In the early days of our drinking, we occasionally remained sober for a year or more, becoming serious drinkers again later. And we've been talking about that for the last hour or so, about how most of us have some experience of having quit and the disease having progressed, and we became more serious as time went on. It's true about you? Did you see that by looking back on your own experience? See? What is that telling you? See? What will your experience tell you? The truth. See? Though you may be able to stop for a considerable period, you may yet be a potential alcoholic. So you remember we learned the difference between the moderate drinker and the hard drinker and the real alcoholic in Chapter 2? The hard drinkers, if they stop drinking and then continue drinking, go back to drinking, they very likely will turn into a real alcoholic. We learn more about that when we get into Chapter 8. They get a little more thorough about the explanation of the kinds of how alcoholism progresses. Okay. So we think few, and you might underline the next clause where it says, to whom this book will appeal. We think few, to whom this book will appeal, can stay dry anything like a year. All right? Everybody underline that? To whom this book will appeal. See, and ask yourself, why am I sitting in this room looking at this book? Why does it appeal to me? See? Why am I not off at a convention somewhere? Why am I not playing golf right now? See? We think few, to whom this book will appeal, can stay dry anything like a year. See? Why am we not just off being happy, joyous, and free this morning? Why does this book appeal to us? What got each of us sitting here doing this? Okay? Some will be drunk the day after making their resolutions. Anybody in here done that besides me? Sworn off, maybe 9 in the morning, been drunk by noon, 2 days later, something like that? I'll never do it again. Plan. Some will be drunk the day after making their resolutions, and most of them within a few weeks. Did anybody walk in here when you were new and you see somebody getting a chip, or you hear somebody saying, well, I've been sober 10 years, I've been sober 6 years, I've been sober 13 years, and have that feeling like these people are lying? That's not possible. See, where does that kind of thinking, that disbelief of periods of sobriety, where's that come from? See, just notice that in yourself, and start to ask you. When I was new, I didn't believe. I thought everybody was lying. I thought they were drinking off somewhere, and they come in here and lie to each other. Okay, now we're going to do one more paragraph and then take a break. For those who are unable to drink moderately. Who's that? Is that you? I can't drink moderately. I don't understand moderated drinking. Or much else, as a matter of fact. For those who are unable to drink moderately, the question is how to what? Stop altogether. What tradition is that?
3.
Tradition 3. Okay, we are assuming. Who's making the assumption? People that wrote the book. That the reader, who's the reader? Put your name there where it says reader. See, we are assuming, of course, that you want to stop, that you meet tradition 3. See, you notice how this keeps coming up? You think they see it as a problem? Okay? You think maybe they got some experience that tells them that a lot of people don't really want to stop drinking even though they're in an AA meeting? Why do they keep saying this over and over? We are assuming, of course, that the reader desires to stop. Now, whether such a person can quit on a what? Non-spiritual basis depends upon the extent to which he's already lost what? Power to choose whether he will drink or not. All right? This is what we all need to be pretty clear at, or of, and it'll start to explain some things that you see in Alcoholics Anonymous. Everybody remember this, the doom curve? Start drinking up here and end up where? Flat. Okay, now some people come to Alcoholics Anonymous and they are what's known as a low-bottom drunk. Okay, now these people have pretty much lost all ability to choose whether they will drink or not. And these folks come into AA and we tell them, put the plug in the jug, keep coming back, and they keep getting drunk. And we start calling them unwilling. But they may be very willing. See, the problem is they can't stay sober very long. Maybe they can make it 30 days, 60 days. something like that, and they get drunk. They have lost all ability to choose, and that's about as far as they can go. See, somebody who comes to Alcoholics Anonymous about halfway down the doom curve might be able to stay sober for 2 or 3 years, see, based on the power to choose whether they will drink or not. Someone who is a pretty high-bottom drunk, see, might be able to stay sober 5 or 10 years, based on nothing but meetings and the power to choose, see, whether they're going to drink. But what happens to all of them eventually? They all go splat. See? Why do they go splat? Disease progresses, see? And the power, all power of choice eventually is gone. Okay? Time going this way. All right? See, so you'll see people in Alcoholics Anonymous who are doing this, and they will say, all I got to do is go to meetings. Book doesn't have all the answers. That's not where the program really is. See? I'm dealing with my feelings. I'm blah, da, 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 da. See? Never hear anything about a higher power from folks like that. See? They're staying sober on their own. Okay? Now, whether such a person can quit on a non-spiritual basis, see, depends upon the extent to which he has already lost, how far down the disease has progressed, the power whether they're going to choose, see, to drink or not to drink. See, the book says that an alcoholic, see, has lost the power of choice. Does that make sense to you? Okay? See, non-spiritual basis. See, we all need to be clear on what a spiritual basis is and what a non-spiritual basis is. Is a hug spiritual basis? It's getting all warm and creamy and emotional. Is that spiritual or is that emotional? What's psychology? What's psychiatry? Is that spiritual? See? Does that deal with the body and the mind? See? Whether a real alcoholic who wants to stop is going to be able to stop and stay stopped on a non-spiritual basis is going to depend on, see, how far your disease has progressed. See, now you're the only one who has any idea where you are on the curve. Back to the book. It says, whether such a person can quit upon a non-spiritual basis depends upon the extent to which he or she has already lost the power to choose whether he will drink or not. Many of us felt we had plenty of character. There was a tremendous urge to cease forever. What tradition is that? There it is again. See how that keeps coming up? Yet we found it impossible. This is the baffling feature of alcoholism as we know it. This utter inability to leave it alone. No matter how great the necessity means need, or the wish means want. Okay, let's take a break. How then should we help our readers? Who are the readers? That's us. See, determine to their own satisfaction whether they are one of us. One of what? A real alcoholic. All right? Now, underline the word satisfaction. It's an important word. Like has everybody in here been camping at some point in your life? Just about everybody? I'd like you to imagine that you made a decision that you were going to go camping. You wanted to get off in the woods all by yourself. So you get enough supplies and food and whatever you need for 7 days, and you drive off up in the Sandias or some place here in the mountains, and you're camping out, and on the 5th day, in the middle of the night, a bear comes into the camp, see, and destroys all the food, all the water, all of your supplies, and disables your car. See, so now you're stuck, see, in the middle of nowhere, no food, no water, no transportation. Right? And now you got to hike out. See? So you hike out of wherever you're at, and you hitchhike back. It takes you 2 days to do that, and you walk into your house. See, you haven't had anything to eat or drink for 2 whole days. See, and somebody knew that this is the condition you're in based on a phone call or something. So you walk into your house, and here's a surprise. Okay, and the surprise is a meal. See, now what's your favorite meal? Think of whatever your favorite meal is. Right? And there, sitting on the table in your house or apartment or whatever, see, is your favorite meal, and there's enough of it for 20 people. See, now all the trimmings, everything you like the best is there, and there's enough of it for 20 folks. There's only 1 plate and 1 table setting. It's all for you. You haven't had anything to eat or drink, see, for 2 days. Sit down and start eating. Okay? Yeah! All right. When will you stop? when you're satisfied. Okay? See, when you're satisfied, what will you notice? There is more food on the table. You can't possibly eat enough for 20 people. You may eat a lot, see, but you won't eat it all. Is that pretty clear? See, so at some point you'll stop, see, but you'll only stop till you're satisfied. See, that's true of all of us. Okay, now when it comes to whether I'm a real alcoholic or not, all of us have to be satisfied. See, whether we are or whether we aren't an alcoholic. See, the debate has to stop. The questioning has to stop. The wondering, am I not? Do I know enough? Do I have enough answers? Do I have enough information? I'm not sure. See, all that's got to stop, and it can only stop when you're satisfied. See, whether you're a real alcoholic or not. See, so that's what they're saying here. See, they're going to give us some more information trying to help us, see, become satisfied. Stop the debate. I don't know. See, whether we're a real alcoholic. Okay, so how then should we help our readers determine to their own satisfaction whether they are one of us, a real alcoholic? Okay, the experiment of quitting for a period of time will be helpful. See, but we think we can render an even greater service to alcoholic sufferers and perhaps to who? The medical fraternity. Okay, so we shall describe some of the mental states. Where do mental states exist? In the mind. See, that precede a relapse into drinking, for obviously this is the crux of the problem. So in chapter 2 we learned that the main problem is where? In the mind. All right? Okay, now we need to look at something and become very clear about it, because to